The next match is the world title match, and Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage. But before that, we have Mean Gene doing a little introduction, showing the events that led up to it, and again, whose side Mr. Perfect might be on. There's all that speculation. And at the commentary booth, Vince McMahon grills Bobby Heenan because Bobby Heenan's associated with Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect. And he says to Bobby Heenan, whose side is Mr. Perfect going to be on? And Bobby Heenan says he doesn't know, but Vince McMahon doesn't believe him. But Bobby Heenan says they didn't tell Bobby Heenan to protect him. And in storyline, I think that's true. I think Bobby Heenan doesn't know, but and again, that just adds to the mystery.
Because it's no, because I remember what to call it when Ultimate Warrior was about to do his, when he got about to do his like jump, go from rope to rope, and then do the jump. Mr. Perfect pulled his leg out, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Now, the previous match was the classic WrestleMania 7 match, where it's a career-ending match. So whoever loses the match has to retire, basically. And we know Warrior wins that match by pinfall. It's a fantastic match. Again, probably due to Randy Savage, because I think at the time Randy Savage was taking some time off, wasn't he, to recharge his batteries and heal up a bit.
Yeah, it was. It was quite. It looked very. They both looked very so knackered afterwards. Yeah.
But yeah, so Warrior won that WrestleMania 7 match, and then Randy Savage took some time off. Then they found a way to sort of bring him back into WWE. They sort of WWF. They had a storyline with Jake the Snake, didn't he, where he gate crashed Savage's wedding to Miss Elizabeth, and as a result of that, in the end, he ended up being reinstated as a wrestler.
Is that to do? Is that the storyline where he got bit by the snake, Damien?
Yeah, that's part of. Yeah, we won't go into that now, but yeah, that was all part of that storyline. Yeah, it wasn't Damien though, was it? Because I think Earthquake had killed Damien in a previous angle.
Yeah, squashed him. Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah. Because then Jake had a new snake called Lucifer, didn't he? But then this wasn't. Yeah, I don't think this was Lucifer that bit Savage. It was a cobra.
Oh,
because I think Lucifer was a python.
He just reminded me of the Earthquake squashing. Yeah.
And what was interesting about this event, SummerSlam '92, is your two main events were babyface versus babyface. Again, I don't know another event where the two biggest matches were baby faces facing each other. And also we have a heel versus heel match, don't we, with Shawn Michaels and Rick Martel. So it's quite a unique setup, this event.
Yeah, because it's a bit more relaxed now, but it's not like but it's not
the lines are a bit more blurred, aren't they, with babyface and heel. But back then it was again quite the novelty to have those kind of matches. Yeah, I quite enjoyed this match. Again, it was a count out finish, which was maybe not what you want really, but yeah, it was just something that you could really get invested in, wasn't it? And I was actually cheering on Warrior in that match. Who were you cheering on?
It probably would have been Warrior because I was Hulk Hogan and Warrior fan, but I liked it. I liked it when Macho Man went on the top to do his move. Then he looked at the crowd as if to say, "Oh, these two, Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, must have had something to do with this. That's why he's injured on the floor." Ultimate Warrior, and then he decided to jump on top of Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect instead. And then
that's right, yeah, because they make it that first of all, Mr. Perfect attacks Randy Savage, so it looks like Warrior's sided with Mr. Perfect. But then later on in the match, Mr. Perfect attacks Warrior, doesn't he?
Yeah, and attacks Warrior, and then in the end, and in the end, it's good that Ultimate Warrior gets a chair and starts running towards to swing it at Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, and they run away. And I like it how he comes back and helps he helps Randy Savage. It's good.
Yeah. So the match ends with, like I say, as you said, Randy Savage does that dive off the turnbuckle when he realizes that Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair are on neither of their side. They're just causing disruption. So Randy Savage jumps off the turnbuckle at Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect whacks him with the chair. And as a result, Randy Savage gets counted out, doesn't he?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I was going too far ahead. I was getting too carried away with what I was saying. So
that's okay.
But,
yeah. Yes. So Flair and Perfect attack Savage on the outside. Then Warrior comes to the rescue, chasing them back to the dressing room. And then they announce Warrior as the winner by count out, but they announce the Randy Savage is still the champion because it was by count out. And then he helps Savage up and they celebrate together, don't they? Both sort of pose for the crowd.
Yeah, and he gives Savage the belt to hold. Gives him his belt.
One thing that's been heavily rumored is that going into SummerSlam, Vince McMahon wanted Warrior to turn heel and team up with Flair and Perfect. Basically, Warrior refused, but it's when he refused is also debated as well. With some people saying he refused at the last minute, but I can't see Warrior wanting to turn heel. He'd be too invested in his character to do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine them. I can't imagine Ultimate Warrior character working with Ric Flair. No, it wouldn't seem right. He would have to change his gimmick completely.
Yeah, and I think as a Warrior fan, then I would have been devastated if he turned heel right in front of my eyes. Now, after the match, Mean Gene interviews Ric Flair and Mr. Perfect, and Perfect says there was a deal, but it was a deal between him and Ric Flair. There was never a deal with Warrior or Savage, yeah. And Flair says, it wasn't right that he wasn't given the world title match, and he says the belt is coming back to him eventually. And obviously that does happen, doesn't it? Thanks to Razor Ramon in a Savage Flair rematch. Because I think what I assumed at that time as a fan, I thought they would have Flair beat Savage. I knew that was going to happen. But then I thought Flair would lose that to Warrior, maybe at WrestleMania the next year. But that never happened because Warrior's gone in a couple of months, isn't he? So.
Oh yeah, so some of the plans never worked out. Yeah.
But I don't know if that was their plan anyway. But that's just what I assumed as a fan.
Yeah, I'd like. Yeah, because they probably changed things so many times.
I mean, what I also assumed was that when Warrior left, I thought, oh, what they're going to do now is they're going to have Mr. Perfect versus Ric Flair at WrestleMania for the title. I assumed that Flair would get the title off Bret Hart and then he would defend it against Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania. But again, that never happened either.
Oh, that would have been good. Ric Flair versus Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, but at that time, I think by the time WrestleMania come around, Ric Flair had gone, hadn't he? So that never happened.